Suggestions for gun classes and cautions against other items. Why do we do that? Let's talk about that. Welcome to the Patriot Training YouTube channel. My name is Clay Howell. I'm the owner and head firearms instructor at Patriot Training. The topic of this video is suggestions for firearms classes and conversely suggestions against certain items at firearms classes. Why do we suggest for some things and why do we suggest against others? Let's dig into that a little deeper. Folks, we're really not here to take a dump on the equipment that you have. Vast majority of Patriot Training instructors are gun guys and gals just exactly like you. We enjoy our equipment, we love our guns, we love our gear, all that kind of stuff. That said, all of your instructors have taken multiple classes. We have seen what works. We have conversely seen what does not work. In addition to having taken the classes, tried some things that failed, tried some things that worked, we have also had the vantage point of viewing hundreds of classes as instructors and watching what has served people well and conversely watching what has let people down. So when we say on the Patriot Training website that we suggest against certain items, there's a reason why. It's not because we're just mean, it's not because we're critical, and it's certainly not because we don't know what we're talking about. It's because we've watched that thing let people down over and over and over again. First up on the list, El Cheapo optics. Optics that cost under $100. Y'all, I've taught over 200 live fire classes. I've taken that many more, if not more. I have seen an optic that costs less than $100 last through a class exactly once. It was on a one-day marksmanship class that shot about 120 rounds. That was it. That was one time. Now, let me tell you about the thousands of other times I've watched El Cheapo optics fail, which is all of the rest of the time. And usually that optic will fail before lunch on the first day. So when you see that we suggest not to have an El Cheapo optic, that's why. It's not that we're making fun of the poors. No, that's not it. It's that we want you to actually be able to complete the class with the gear that you brought so you can get better with it. Another thing that we suggest against is a single point sling. In all of the time I've taken classes, hundreds of classes taken, hundreds of classes taught, I've come across exactly one person that preferred a single point sling. Now this person is Patriot Training instructor and multiple time alumnus Billy Jones. Now Billy has served honorably his country in the United States Army. He was a Cav Scout. And in the Cav Scouts, they get in and out of vehicles a lot. And a single point sling has a huge advantage in that situation. He acknowledges, he'll be the first to tell you, that it's got some drawbacks when it comes to standard patrolling and other operations with a rifle. That's when the 2-point sling really comes into favor. However, for what he did, the single point sling was the most advantageous. At Patriot Training, seeing as we are not Cav Scouts, we don't do that. So I advise people against a single point sling. Their knees and their groins always thank me. And, you know, you can bring one, freedom, but understand there's some significant drawbacks when we're running some of the exercises, and it's going to come to bear. And every single person I've seen, not named Billy Jones, who took a class with us and had a single point sling came away saying, I hate this sling, I want a 2-point like you guys have. So that's why we make that suggestion. Something else that we suggest against are nylon holsters. And we suggest against Serpa holsters. And I'm going to go against the holsters all in one fell swoop here. The nylon holsters just don't stay open when you need them open. So you have to open it with your fingers in order to put the pistol back in. And that typically results in you muzzling your own hand, which is an absolute no-go. You don't point a gun at something you do not wish to destroy. Also, I've seen several times where the nylon holster would not actually cover the trigger guard. It was not large enough. So, you know, the nylon holsters are just absolute fails. Most of them are the very collapsible Uncle Mike's or something like that. And, you know, it's just, it's $10. You get exactly what you pay for. It's just not adequate for the kind of training that we're going to do. So I suggest that you get a good quality Kydex holster with, you know, whatever retention level that you prefer. But now let's talk about that. A lot of people bring the Serpa holsters. and they don't understand why we will not permit Serpa holsters on the line. And the reason is very simply, go out there and just Google the term Serpa fail and see if you can get to 50 videos. I got to 50 videos really, really quick. There's multiple articles about how they fail, how often they fail, and that sort of thing. And as a rule of thumb, the people that have barked back at me the most about Serpa holsters, oh, I need to be able to bring it, or why don't you like them? They're the people that A, have never had a training class, and B, don't practice with them. That's for sure. I have seen one exception in all my days on that, and that was an instructor who uses a Serpa holster. And you know what? The reason he does that is because he also worked in armed security, and a Serpa style holster was required on his security job. So, and we do make the exception for that. If you work security, if you work law enforcement, and a Serpa style holster is what your department requires, we will make that exception. We'll show you how to draw it in the safest manner possible, and we'll let you skip out the drills that will destroy it, because there's just no reason in destroying your property. When you're going to destroy it, it might as well be the case in time when you actually need the gun. So know when and where that's going to be. We'll show you. But, those things are just hot garbage. Avoid them at all costs. A very rudimentary Kydex holster costs $5 or $10 more, and it's worth every penny. Another thing we advise against at Patriot Training is out of the ordinary calibers. For example, at Urban Rifleman, we recommend that you have an AR-15 rifle or maybe an AK-style rifle, AK-47 or 74. Either one would be fine. We advise against bringing something like an AR-10, a 308, or an SKS, or maybe a 300 Blackout or something like that. Those out of the ordinary calibers, just really, I've just seen so many problems out of them. And yeah, you might be the one, and everybody that brings one says, well, mine's never had any problems. And then we get into the class, and understand, we don't blast just for the sake of blasting. We're not a 1,500 round class. It's 500 rounds over 2 days. But we see trouble after trouble after trouble after trouble. And invariably, that same person that said, oh, I never had any problems with it, at the beginning of class says, oh, I've never had any problems with it. I don't know why it's acting like this. And we've seen this over and over and over again so many times. It's the normal. If by chance one of these days, like I've had one AR-10 make it through class ever without any hiccups, ever, and I actually wagered that guy dinner that night, and I bought his supper because he won. He took a marksmanship class, shot about 90 rounds out of his AR-10 over the day. It didn't have any problems. That was the exception, not the rule. And I wagered with him early on, and he's the one guy who's ever won that wager. It's one of those things. We just see so many problems with it. Bring what we suggest, and the reason why is so that you have fewer failures out of that. So you're out of the ordinary calibers. The farther away from ordinary you get, the more trouble you're going to have. Unusual models are something we recommend against. And, a couple for the rifle classes come to mind, like the SKS or a bullpup style or something like that. And they're perfectly fine rifles. Go, buy them, shoot them, have fun. But for something like Urban Rifleman or some of our other classes, it's just really not going to be the best choice for you. And what we always see with the unusual models is we always see additional breakdowns, malfunctions, etc. Bullpups, for example, are just absolutely notorious for having malfunctions. And just about every malfunction with a bullpup, you have to treat that like a Type 3 malfunction in an AR. So you have to take out the magazine, you have to lock the bolt to the rear, you have to get all the crap out of there, then you have to rack it to clear it, then reload it. It takes a long time. So, every single one of those unusual models, they tend to not be as well vetted and have as much quality control as the standard AR-15s and whatnot. So we always see trouble out of those. That's one of the reasons we recommend against them. Similar to the unusual models, similar to the unusual calibers, people that bring PCCs, pistol caliber carbines. Oh my goodness, those things just have jam after jam after jam. I've never seen one that didn't. And every single one of the people that bring them to class, oh, I've never had any trouble with it. And invariably, like for example in Urban Rifleman, my running joke is you become Urban Pistolman, because your rifle breaks down, your PCC will break down, and it just, it jams up every single exercise, and people get so frustrated with them they lose a lot of the value of the class because they're sitting there fighting their equipment instead of learning, and gaining skills. And the whole purpose of taking the class is to gain skills. It's not to check out some equipment. That's a poor excuse. You can check out equipment when it doesn't cost you $400 for the weekend to do so. So yeah, PCCs invariably have trouble. People who bring 22 long rifles, every single time I see a 22 conversion kit or a 22 rifle on the line, I know that person is just going to have nothing but trouble all day, both days. Now, here's the fun thing. I've been to many Appleseeds. I've taken them with 22s. I've had friends shoot with 22s, like your Marlin 795, your Marlin 60, your Ruger 1022, your Savage 597. Those 22 rifles that were built to be 22 rifles don't tend to have problems, especially in a marksmanship class like Appleseed. If they do, it's just ordinary ammunition malfunctions. But in a carbine style class, in a tactical style class, these guns were not built for that kind of reliability. So your Smith & Wesson M&P 1522s, they jam like crazy. The 22 conversion kits, they just never work. And invariably, somebody brings it, they'll bring it to save money. And what they wind up doing is they waste money because they're fighting their gun the whole entire class instead of learning a skill that's useful. And, the whole purpose of taking a training class is to gain new skills or improve existing skills. And when you're fighting your gear, that's just really, really difficult to do. And invariably, the people that bring the PCCs or the 22s, and they'll say, I never had any problems with it. And invariably, those are the guys and gals that have problems with it right out of the gates. They have problems early, and they have problems often. Again, I'm not taking a dump on your gear. I've got several 22 caliber rifles. They're all great. They're fantastic. I can tell you when each one has jammed in a class, which is not very often, but they're also dedicated rifles, you see, for that. They're designed for that. So, a PCC was the answer to a question that may not ought to have been asked. They're still pretty cool. In my estimation, they don't cut down on recoil. They actually recoil more strongly than a regular AR-15. Or similar carbine, and recoil control methods are the same, and that's cool, but at the same time, you're not really getting what you pay for. Your ammunition might be a little cheaper, but you're also losing the range and losing the effectiveness and all of the other things that you want when you have a carbine. So, stick to the gear that we recommend. That's, at the end of the day, that's my suggestion to you. If you go to a class, stick with the gear that the instructor recommends. It's almost like that instructor knows what the syllabus is about, has seen people go through this class and have trouble, has seen people go through this class and have success, and it's almost like that instructor is trying to push you and lean you and guide you towards the avenue that will provide the most success for you, my friends. And here at Patriot Training, that's no different. I don't want you to come out here and have a foul time over the weekend. I don't want you to come away frustrated because you had to fight with your equipment the whole weekend. That's not cool. That's not fun. Nobody benefits from that at all. You don't benefit. I don't benefit. Nobody does. It's just not good. We make these suggestions for you. It's 100% for you. It's not for any other reason, my friends. It is 100% for you. Well, folks, that about wraps it up. Did I miss something? Did I leave something out? Put it down in the comments below. I'd like to encourage you to hit like, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you can find out when the next Patriot Training video is dropped. And as always, I will remind you, you don't have to be a Patriot to train, but you do have to train if you want to be a Patriot. Take care.